But Ryan, isn't Christmas just a pagan holiday filled with worldly traditions?
Well, actually, we don't really know if it's a pagan holiday. There's a long tradition in Christian culture that Jesus was conceived by the Holy Spirit on March 25th. What it boils down to is believers wanted to celebrate Christ. That's what it boils down to. Mm-hmm. And what we need to remember is that Christmas is about Jesus.
Yeah. If we're going to be people who say we are not going to do anything that has any kind of influence outside of Christian tradition or even like Jewish tradition, then like there's so much in life we can't do. You know what I mean? Like we can't, the clothes we wear are influenced by the culture we live in. The language we speak is influenced by the culture. So I think the point that Christmas is about Jesus at the end of the day is really where we have to land is even if it is a holiday that we are to some degree like taking over from other traditions and other religions, the reality is now today in our culture, at least in the West, what we recognize that Christmas is about is the birth of Jesus.
Some Christians started celebrating his birth to help people remember, like, he was a real dude.
Yeah.
And it was only called Christmas for the last, 150, 200 years.
Mm-hmm. And marry more Christ.
Marry more Christ. We get overwhelmed by all these details and wonder, like, can I have a tree? We have 3 in our house.
Well, I think the thing to be conscious of is we always need to contextualize into the culture that we're in.
Sure. If we're going to really be strict to it, early Christians didn't celebrate birthdays at all. If we're going to make Christmas about Jesus, what do we do with Santa Claus? In the Reformation, 500 years ago, the reformers said, we need to be really careful that we're not worshiping saints and that we're worshiping Christ.
The problem comes in when we as parents begin to attribute characteristics of God to Santa Claus.
That first 5 minutes made me say never again, like never again, because it's so real and
to them. There has to be in our language something where we're making a distinction between who he is and who God is.
Yeah.
And one of the things, Mike, I think you've mentioned, maybe you can talk to it a little bit, is with Santa, there is a performance-based reward system.
Yeah.
And with Christ, it's a grace-based reward system.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's an aspect where even though that's true, there's something in us, I don't know if it's cultural or just innate within us, that wants to treat God the same way. I mean, we often at times think of our relationship with God in the same way as people who've already been reconciled back to God through faith in Jesus.
Maybe it had gotten way too out of hand and the solution was to just put an end to it instead of trying to tweak their thoughts.
But that's not where we are now.
No,
not at all.
If those things supersede your goal as a parent of showing your sons and daughters who God is and by his grace given us Jesus, then all those things are worthless. Like if you're going to sacrifice the gospel for a season like this, that's outrageous.
And I just said, will you do Santa? He had just gotten engaged. I said, will you do Santa? And he goes, no. He goes, I can't find the room in my heart where it's okay to intentionally deceive my child for 8 to 10 years.
I think that there's an aspect of Santa, and I don't know why this is culturally, where we feel like it's different than the Easter Bunny, where it's for our kids to enjoy the nuances of Santa Claus and the season. Somehow we have to make Santa real. We do Christmas Day presents, and the boys will leave out cookies and Dr. Pepper because they know that Santa Claus is going to bring them gifts. And so it kind of has become a joke. Is it too easy to lose Jesus at Christmas in the midst of presents?